how to declare the array. One thing is type. Second one is the name of the array that you want to, as per your requirement. It should be a valid identifier. So this is the declaration, and after the declaration, you need to construct, because array is an object that is available into the heap memory area. Now, after the declaration, this is the syntax to create an array. And to create the array, you just need to write the array name that you have already declared. After that, new, and type the size. So this is the way. And when we combine these statements, then we can write in one statement to create and declare and construct array in a single line. And one more thing, I told you that if any array gets constructed, then the indexes of every index of the array will initialize with its default value. So in the case of integer, we have seen the default value of the integer is 0. So it will initialize with the 0. In case of this is Boolean, then it will be initialized with the false. And in the case of references, we have already seen that it will initialize with the null value. And to get the size of any array, then you can use the length property of array. So these are the things that we have already learned. And a few things more related to the array. Array declaration, construction. So this is the memory representation of array. When we write like this, integer AR, and AR is equal new int. So one array with the size of 4 will be created into the heap memory area with the default value 0. So this will look like the AR. So AR will represent as a reference. Okay. This will represent as a reference, and this new int, and we are using the new, so it will create an object. So new int will create an object with the length 4, initial value, and the default value with the 0 for every index. And these are your indices, and these are your values. If you want to access any value, then you write AR and the index number. Okay, so we have already seen this. This is the way. If you want to access any value, then you write A and the index value. So we are iterating it with from the 0 to the length. So A0, then A1, A2, A3, and so on. Fine. So actually, this is the representation that you have to remember. Okay, because this is the object and this is the reference. One more thing, when you use array in Java, so it has one limitation, that is you cannot access the array value, that is array value the index which is not available into the array. What do I mean to say? That this is the array and you have the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine. So you cannot access any value beyond the indexes. It is the restriction in your array in Java. But in the prior language like C and C++, it is possible that if the array size is 4, but you can access the indexes 4, 5, 6, and so on. Even you can access the indexes into the negative a -1, a -2. This is the possibility with the C and C++, but this is not possible in Java, because it doesn't supports the array which index which is not available into the index. So when you write the code to access any value which is not available, uh, uh, if you want to access any index which is not available, then you will get an exception, that is array index out of bounds exception. So if you see any time that array index out of bound exception, just look into your code and fix it, because this is a logical error. This is a logical error. One example is here that how to sum of the array. So a simple one example is here. We have created integer a, r is equal new int, so it will create three indexes, that is 0, 1 and 2. Now every value will have default, every index will have the default value, that is 0. So first we'll initialize every index value with some other value. So we can assign and we can update the value by accessing the indexes. So AR0, now we are updating the value with the 11, AR1 updating the value with 22, AR2 is equal to 33, and initial value of the sum is equal to 0. Now we will iterate from the 0 to the length and we'll calculate the sum is equal sum plus ARI. So it will add every value to the previous sum, and after that you will get the sum of the array. So when you execute this one, then you will get the answer. Sum of the array is 66. Okay. So this is one a short example. Okay. Types of the array, but before going to this point, one more thing, one syntax I also want to discuss. Here come to this one. And delete this one. Integer, it is int, for example. I'm taking the data type int, new int. Okay. And one more thing you can do is suppose you want that at the time of creation, at the time of array construction, every index will have some other value except the default. Then you can write and initialize the array something like this. So now in this case, the array and empty bracket. So if I write system.out.println, this is one objective type of the question. So a dot length. So what will be the output of this code? So you can see that the length of the array is 0. So this will create an array object with the length 0. Fine. And you need, if you want that at the time of the array declaration and the creation, some value should be initialized with every index. So you can pass the value as well. So 1, 2, 34, separated by the comma, make sure. So in this case, you will see there are 3 elements. So it will create the array with the size 3, and every index will initialize with the corresponding value. So this will be initialized with this will be at index number 0, this will be at index number 1, and this will be at index number 3. Look at here, this one. So the size of array is 3, and when I iterate this array, then you can see every index has different value, and you are getting them values. So this is one more syntax that you can use to construct an array. The benefit of this syntax is you don't need to mention the size. The value that you will provide over here, it will take the size accordingly. Okay. This syntax that you are writing, make sure, one more time I'm telling you, this can be one of the objective type of the question. So this syntax should be written in one line. What do I mean to say that? This syntax is not valid. What is not valid? This integer x, if I only declare, and x is equal if we want to initialize with some value. Okay, so this syntax is not valid. Okay, as you can see at the left hand side, it is showing that it is an error. Okay, so this syntax is valid when you declare and construct the array at the same time. But if you want to do in this way, then you need to write like this. Okay, this one. So make sure when this type of the question comes into your objective type and the online test, and whenever you go for the interview, then you are um, putting the right answer. So this is the main difference in this syntax and in this syntax. And now come to the types of array. Types of array, there are, we can see, and we can say that there are three types of the array. Single dimensional array that we have already seen so far, and another one is multi-dimensional array. Multi-dimensional array that means more than one. So it could be your double dimensional array, three-dimensional array, and so on, n-dimensional array. And one more array is available in Java that is not available in C and C++. That is the Zig-Zag array. We say that Zig-Zag or Jagged Array. So what is Jagged Array and how to use, and what is the benefit of it to use in our program, we'll discuss later. So what is the multi-dimensional array? It is very simple. Just look at there. Look at this code. This denotes, okay, this square bracket denotes the dimension. So if you want to make more than one dimension into your array, then you can just increase the brackets. Okay, so just increase the brackets. Now you will create more than one dimension. So if I write integer a, so this will denote a single dimensional array. This will denote a double dimension. This will denote the three dimensional, and n dimension you can write. So if I create this one, so the representation will be look like new integer, and the first dimension that I want, it will be 2. For example, I'm taking the 3, and another one is 3. Okay, so this is the two-dimensional array. And generally, what we say that two-dimensional array can be represented in the form of matrix. Okay, in the form of the matrix. To understand it, we can say that we can represent this one as in the form of matrix. Matrix means this will represent the row and this will represent the columns. Okay, so this will create 3 rows and 3 columns. To understand it, let me open. So 3 rows and 3 columns. So 1, 2, 3 column and 3 rows. So this can be represented as in this array. And every row will be indexed with some value. Okay, so every row will be indexed. So for example, this is index number 0, this is index number 1, this is index number 2, and every column will also be indexed. Okay, so right here the index number 0, index number 1, and index number 2. To access the value which is available into this cell, we will access through the row and column. So this will be at 0 and 0. So we'll access it with the 0 and 0. This will be accessed with the 0 and 1. Okay, and so on. In the same way, if you want to access this one, so this is at the row number 1 and column number 1. So we'll write 1 and 1. Okay. So you can see that for the first row, the left hand side index is not getting changed. Okay. And every iteration will change the columns. So to iterate more than one dimensional array, the dimension that you write, you need to write the nested loops at that supports the level of this dimension. Sorry. So since we have two-dimensional array, so we'll create nested loop of level 2. Okay. Sorry, 1. So integer I is equal 0. I is less than, I'm writing 3 right now, and then I plus plus. Now this will have another for the column. So for column, I will initialize every time from the 0. J is less than again 3, that is the column, and J plus plus. And if you want to access the values, okay, so system.out.println A0, I, and the J. Okay. So this will represent your row number and this will represent your column number. Now, if we execute this one, then you can see every value is 0. Obvious, because it is int and int has the default value as 0. So we can print it in the matrix form like this way. Okay, sorry, the Python syntax. Now system.out.println this way. So you can see this is the representation in the form of matrix. Okay. So I hope this double dimensional array is clear now. Okay. Another way that we have already discussed for to construct the array with the values, we have already seen with the single dimensional array. So you can do this with the multi-dimensional or array also. So what we can do is just look at the syntax. To initialize the value with every index, what we do, this represents the array. Okay, so this is one dimensional array. Now we need to construct multi-dimensional. Okay, so here this represents the multi-dimensional. So the outer bracket will represent the rows, the array, and the inner bracket will represent the rows. And what are the values you want for every row, you can define here. So 1 comma 2 comma 3, this will be in first row every column. So it will create one row, 3 columns. So every column will have 1 2 3. Again, if you want that another row, so you can write like this: 5 comma 6 comma 7. Okay, so this will create another row, that is the second row, and separated by the comma, then we can write another value: 8 9 and 10, and bracket close this one. So now every index will be initialized with the corresponding value. When we'll access this code, when we'll try to execute this one, then we'll see the output as, let's execute this one. So as you can see, the output is 1, 2, 3 in the first row, 5, 6, 7 in the second row, and 8, 9, 10 in the another row. So I hope this syntax is also clear to construct an array. Where is okay, this one. So multi-dimensional array are simple the arrays of array. To declare the multi-dimensional array variable, specify each additional index using another set of the square bracket. If you want to declare three-dimensional array, then syntax will be like this. Declaration and initialization. I think this is no need to explain right now. Now, this representation I want to discuss because this is very important. Sometimes you get some error. So in this declaration, I just need to explain few things. In multi-dimensional array, the actual value will be stored at the last index. Remember this point. The actual value will be stored at the last index, and every index before the last, okay, will be play a role as the references. Will play the role as references. Okay. So in this case, when we construct the array and when we declare the array, so there are few things that will be happening to the memory when we write this statement, this one. So this will declare an array with the name of my array, and since we haven't created any object, so this will point to null. This will point to null. Okay. So why this will point to the null? Just look at this syntax and output. Here is integer a and this one. If I print the a, okay. So since this is not initialized, so 1 second I can do one more thing, that is Control X, and I can write a static, okay, and Shift plus F6. So you can see that this has the null. Okay, so it means if any, we have already discussed this point, that if any variable has a default value null, so that variable will be the type of class, and that will be a reference. Okay, so it means that when you write like this, so this a acts as a reference because it has a default value. Okay, so come to this. So my array doesn't point to any object in the initial. When we write like this, new int 3 and 3, so in this case, this will be create like an array with the 3 dimension, that is 0, 1, 2, and for every index, this 3 will be allocated, and this 3 represents another array. That's why we say two-dimensional array or multi-dimensional arrays are array of array. Okay, so this is the 0, and it will have another array with the size 3, 0, 1, 2, if we have another index, so it will also have an array with the size 3, index 0, 1, 2, with the value, with some other value. And this will also have index number 2 with the value. So as you can see, at the last index, the values are stored, and before the last index, every index is acting as reference because it is pointing to the another object. Okay, so every index value is another array's object reference. This acts as reference for another object. So now tell me that if we want to access the size of this array, since every figure you can see, it represent the array, so every will have length attribute. Okay, uh, as I said in the previous session, when any object get constructed of array type, then it will have attribute that is the length. So there are 4 array you can see. So it will have the length attribute. It will also have the length attribute. So now if I need to access the length of this one, this, so what will I write? I will write my array dot length. So I'll get the length of this array. If I need to access the length of this array, so how will I access? I will access through this index. Okay, to reach this index, we will write the name of the array. So we'll write my array index number 0 dot length. So what the array which is pointing by this index will get the length of that array object. So in the code, come to the coding. So in the code, suppose we have this double dimensional array. So in place of this 3, what I can write a dot length. Okay, and since it goes to every another index, the actual value, so the inner array we can write a of I. A of I means a of 0, a of 1, a of 2, and need to access the length, so we can write a of I dot length. Fine. So this syntax is also valid syntax that you can use, and this is the recommendation to use to get the length of every array object. So I hope this is now clear that how does it work, the double dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. Another one which is available in Java, that is called Jagged Array, and it is sometimes also known as the Zig-Zag array. Zig-Zag array means for every row, it is not required that it will have the same number of the columns. Okay. So it is a new feature supported by the Java. In Jagged Array, each row in 2-dimensional array may contain different length. This is the representation of Jagged, and this is the representation of array that you can see in every row. In every row, you can see the number of columns are different. In the first row, there is only 1 column. In second row, the number of columns are 3. The third row, the number of columns are 4, as you can see. Okay, so this is the representation of Jagged Array, and this is very useful to save the memory. Okay, so if you need to represent an array in the form of this type, then you can use the Jagged Array. So what you need to do to declare the Jagged Array, hello, It's still not. It's still in the jar. Okay. Let me check. Now, is it fine? So, okay. So, this is the jagged array representation. So, for every row, you can see there are different number of columns. So, only one thing you need to do is just declare, come to this part, just declare only the number of rows. Just declare the number of rows, and what is the size of columns for every row, declare after the declaration of rows. So come to this part. This is the way that we use it. So declaration is something int my array, and construction is my array new int 3. Look at here. So we have construct only the number of rows, not construct any number of columns. So for every number of row, now we can define the number of columns. Look at here. So my array 0 will point to a new array which has 2 elements. Okay. My array 1 will point to an array which has three elements, that is 985. Fine. So it will look like this. I hope this image is clear. My array, 2D array. So it will create an array with the size 3, 0, 1, 2 with the initial value null. Okay. Now we have declared my array 0 is equal new int 6, 7. So now this will point to a new array object that will have index number 0 and 1 with the value 6, 7. Creating another array with the index 1 with the 3 value, that is 985. So now you can see another array has been created with the index 0, 1, 2 with the value 985. Now this index will point to this array, and the second index, we are not creating any array, any columns, you can say. So this is still null. Fine. So this is the representation of jagged array that you can use, and this is very useful in terms of the memory saving. Why I'm saying that we can save the memories. Okay. So suppose there is a situation in which you want to save some information. For example, you want to save the information of a book. Okay. So book can have a number of the chapters, and every chapter can have different number of sub chapters. Fine. So how can we save the information of that book into the array? So obviously you will create a double dimensional array. Okay, but you will find that it is not required that every chapter will have the same number of sub chapters. Okay, so suppose there is a book of a Java, and what you need to do is there is a number of chapters, that is, for example, 5. So chapter will be represented, can be represented as, we can represent as 0 number, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and maybe that the chapter number 0, the first chapter in your book, have 4 sub chapters. Fine. Chapter number 1, you want to store the information, may have only 2 sub chapters. It is a small chapter in your code, in your book. Another one, maybe the next one can have more than, and this have only 3, and this have this one. Okay, so if you store the information in this manner, you can see you are saving this part of the memory, this part of the memory, this part of the memory, and this part of the memory. If you create an array, a double dimensional array to hold all the information, you create the array with the size of this. But now, with the help of the jagged array, we are creating according to the requirement, and we are saving this number of bytes, or you can say any uh, memory size. So this is the use of the jagged array. It saves our memory to locate and to store the values. So I hope jagged array is also clear to all of you. And whenever you have a situation in which the number of rows have the different number of columns, so it is recommended that we should go for zigzag array. Don't use the full double dimensional array, because it wastes our memory. So this is okay. This is the array representation. One more thing I forget. I want to discuss in terms of the array. Okay, okay. So wait for just wait for the 5 minutes. Set. I'll come to this part. So so far we have seen the declaration, the creation of the array, and I'm not discussing that how to write the logics, because I already I can assume that this one, because uh, you already know the languages like C and C++, though so the operation will remain same, to access the value, to add the value, to update the values. So only the thing that you should remember, that is the declaration, construction, and the zigzag array, that is the jagged array. One more class is available in Java, which is called java.util.Arrays. Okay, so this is a very handy class, and there you will find there are so many methods that you can use direct into your code. For example, you need to search something in array. So what you will do, you will write the searching code. Okay, so if you know the java.util.Arrays class, so you don't need to write the code. The methods are already available that you can use. If you want to sort the array, then what you will do, suppose come to this part. Where is my NetBeans? This one. Okay. So here is my array integer a and is equal new int with some value suppose 2 23 30 and something. So as you can see, this is not sorted. Okay, this array is not in ascending or descending order. So if I need, and this is my requirement, that this array should be sorted. So what will you do to sort it? Are you able to do the sorting? Sort. Okay. So yes, Meng, sort method. So how will you apply the sort method, Meng? Applying. No, applying not. How will you apply? That is APPLY, apply. How will you apply that sort on this array? Yes, implement. So you will implement the code, means you will write your own code to sort, or you will use the method that is sort. Method. From which class? Okay. So yes, good. So there is a class which is arrays, and here you will find few important methods. So Java Arrays class was introduced in Java 1.2 version as a utility class to perform the various common operation on array. This class is a part of Java collection framework. There is a collection framework is available in Java, and collection framework provides you built-in data structures. So this is the part. This is a part of collection framework. Java Arrays class contains methods for sorting, searching, and comparing the arrays. Arrays class also contains a static method that returns a list big by the specified array. So, what is the meaning of the what is the meaning for these statements? Just look at this code. This is the array with some values, and we need to sort. Okay, so what we'll do, first we'll import the java.util.Arrays. As we know, if any class that is not the part of java.lang, then we need to import. So first import, then uh, after that you will use this method uh, okay, sort method. I guess this is, I'll write over here though, so that will make more clarity. So a dot, sorry, first of all import java.util.Arrays, and arrays dot sort arrays dot sort. The object you want to sort, just pass, and you can see to sort which type of the object we can sort. We can pass the object. We can pass any reference like byte, char, double, float, int, long, short. So we can pass over here. Boolean you will not find here because Boolean type of the sorting is not possible. So sort, and I need to sort the value A. Okay. And this method will sort your array. So this is the sorting, and print the A. Let me check. A, again for I will write int x. Okay, I need to discuss the for each also. I will explain this one. X and A, and print the x value in one line with concatenation. Let's see. So as you can see, 2, 2, 4, 5, 7, 7, 34. So this is now in the sorted order. And if you want to print in one line that it should be sort and after that it should print, then you can use this syntax: arrays dot to string, okay, and AR. So this will print in one line this way. So arrays class has methods that you can use in your code. Method is sort. Another method is sort. Again, you will pass the array that you want to sort. But another signature of this method is you can specify that from which index to which index you want to sort the elements. For example, look at here. This is your array, but I don't need to sort from starting to the end. Okay, so we can specify the start and end position. Suppose I pass the starting position as 3, so it will start from this location and end is the length of the array. So it will sort only these elements. Look at here, only these elements. It will leave before this index, all the elements remain same. So it will not apply the sorting on these elements. It will apply only for these elements. So you can specify the range also by calling the method sort. If you want to search any element in your array, so you don't need to write the code for searching. There is a method, and you can see methods are static. So you can apply the binary search direct. So the pass array that you want, in which you want to perform the searching, okay, and after that the key you want to search, okay, so it will return the index of that key. It will return the index, and if that element is not available, then it will return -1. So the binary search you can apply direct. You don't need to write your own binary search code. This is the searching of element. And one more thing, as we know that binary search is applicable only on the sorted array. So first of all, apply the sort, and after that, apply the binary search. Okay. Now come to the for each loop. I just need to discuss this point. If you and know the for each, then it is fine. If you don't have, if you don't know, then you will understand this for each. And another one is a references object. We'll discuss what is the reference object. Okay. The syntax of for each, the extended for, we say it is extended for each. Okay, and it is also known as extended for. It's a new implementation in Java. So what is the syntax of this? We write the for, okay, and remember this point, for each works only with the group of elements. If you want to apply this for, then that should be object which has more than one value. Okay, means iterative elements. On the iterative elements we can apply this one. So iterative elements means your list, your queue, the sets, and the array. So these are the iterative elements because they have more than one element. They may have the more than one element. So for each will be apply on this type of the objects. And for each always it starts from 0th index, and automatically it moves to the next element one by one. Okay, so this is the for each mechanism. And now if I need to iterate this array, so the syntax will be like, on the object on which you want to apply this for, so the object is A, I want to apply the for each. So whenever you will iterate this one, it will return in every iteration the elements. So first of all, just look at that which type of the elements are available into that object. So as we can see, in this object, every element is the type of int. So first we'll write the return type of element. Okay. Then create a variable. Okay. And from the object you want to iterate. So as you can see, this A will return int type of the value. So every time we'll store that value into the X. So you don't need to write from the 0 to the length of or size of your array. So this will first time go to the index number 0. Now it will return 2. 2 will be stored into the X. So now we can print the value of X. After that, it will go to the 34 automatically. It will move to the next element into the next iteration. So 34 will be into the X. After that, X will be print. Okay, so just look at this output and you can see that every element gets iterated, this one. And since we have applied the sorting, so I'm going to delete this. Now look here, 2, 34, 2, 3, 5, 2, 7, 4, 7, and so on, this one. So this is the way that you can use this. Now how to use with the double dimensional array? Okay, so we'll create the double dimensional array, new int, double dimensional array, new int. Okay, with some other values. Come here is 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma, another one is 4, 5 and 6, and another one is 7, 8, 9, something like this. So now I need to iterate the object A. So every time whenever it will iterate, it will fetch the first indexed value. as I said. Okay, so this will fetch the first index value, and at the first index it will have this value, not only one. Okay, so when we'll fetch through the for each, it will return the whole value, and as we know, this value is another array. So this will return uh, the array of type integer. Okay, so the type of integer it will return, but it will return the variable of the type array. So we'll write like this. And now next time when we'll iterate, then it will return the whole array, and another next iteration it will return the whole array. Now we need to access the elements from this array. So what we'll do, we'll write for next time int y colon. So now x will point to these elements in every iteration. So now we will iterate this x, and after that this y will have the values like 1, 2, 3 and so on. So we'll write like this and come here. System.out.println and print this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Next line, it is not okay. Just make this as into, so that it should print into the array matrix form. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9. So when you iterate any element, which is in the form of multidimensional, so you have to understand that which type of the value is returned by your object. So it will return first time the object is another array, and then we'll iterate this. I hope this syntax is also clear. Another one is creating the references type of the object, and come to here, file system. I'm going to create one method, that is void show into this class, and we have already created so many methods so far in the previous session. So here is I am writing only show from class. What will I do here? I'm going to create an array of this class. So change the name of this class to my class. Okay, my class ob is equal new my class, and I need to create 5 size of the array. Okay, this one. Now tell me, if I need to access this show method, so what should I write here? I need to access the show method, and as we know that we can access the show method with the name or with the object of my class. So I want to access show method. Just tell me. Tell me that how to access the show method. Is it visible, the code that you can see onto the screen? For each or for anyone, it doesn't matter. Okay. obi.show. So I'm writing, just tell me that this syntax is clear or not. So for int I is equal 0, okay, I is less than the size of array, that is 5, and then I plus plus. And if I write the syntax ob, this one ob, and I dot show, this is okay. So anyone else, Hinduja and Justin, will it be fine that we will access the show method and we'll get the answer as show from the class? So when I'll execute this code, just look at the output. Okay. So you can see that it will throw an exception that says the java.lang.none pointer exception. This one. Why? At the com.lari my class main file system.demo.java, this is the source file name, at the line number 38. So line number 38 means this syntax is not working. Actually, what happened when you write this code? This create the references, not the object of my class. First thing, as I said in the previous session also. So this will create references with the name of, just look at here, with the name of ob0, one reference. Another one is ob1. Another one is ob2 and ob3 and ob4. So these are the references which will create with the help of this syntax. So we have only references. Okay. These reference must have the object of the my class type. After that, you will be able to access the methods. This will create only the references with this, these indexes. So what you need to do is, first of all, you have to create the object like this. Got it? So for every reference, you need to assign an object the type of my class. Now you are able to access the method that is pointed by 0th index reference. But if you write this code, that is ob1 dot show, since ob1 is still pointing to the null, so you will get the null pointer exception. If I remove this code, just come to this part, Control X, then still we have exception. So first method gets called with the help of ob0, but in the second time when we are trying to call this method with the ob1, since ob1 is still pointing to the null, so this is not possible. So if you have created the array of type references, make sure you have created the object also for every reference. Then you will be able to access the methods. Okay, fine. So one thing what we can do here is, just I'll write the code like, and we can write this one. Now tell me that now will it work? Every time I will come to the 0, 1, 2 and so on. So ob0 will be initialized with the new object. ob1 will initialize with the new object. So we can access the methods. Look at this. Got it? Fine. So this point I need to discuss, because every time a student gets confused that when we write this statement, then object will be created of the type my class, and now we are able to access the methods with the references directly. But remember this point: in case of array, when you write the syntax like this, okay, so it will create an object of array, not the object of my class. Okay, so it will have these number of references, and for every reference you have to assign objects by writing and calling the constructor of that class. Clear? So this is the array, and now do the practice about the array. And one more thing, it's my suggestion to all of you: use this utility class. There are a lot of methods, and if you are used to use these methods, which those methods which are available into the arrays class, then definitely your coding will be go one level up. Okay, so that's all for array. If you have any query, any question, then you can put. Otherwise, we'll bind up the session, because I know in EST it is around 10:45 night. Is it? So that's all. Any query? No. So we'll have the another session on. Yes, yes, Meng. We'll cover the collections. Definitely, we'll cover. Okay, and we'll meet after 10 hours. Okay, 9:30 a.m. EST in the morning. So bye bye. Good night. You're welcome.